Hello, everyone. My name is Rosie. I go by Rosie in the Rockies here on YouTube, on Instagram, and also on Etsy. And I will list everyone and everything I mention in this video in the description box below. I hope that you're all doing well and enjoying summer, that your stitching is bringing you peace, and maybe even that you're getting outside if it's not too warm or too cold where you are, depending on if you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. We have been spending a lot of time outside, and if I remember to, I will include some pictures from some of the hikes we've been on at the end of this video. But in this video, I have a lot to share. We have 4 fully finished or framed objects. These FFOs are finishes from prior videos that I finally have framed up. We also have 4 finishes, including a finish on the antique reproduction I've been working on with an associated giveaway. So make sure you stay for the whole video if you're interested in that. I have 2 new starts. One I barely started last night, and one is a planned new start, and then a bit of progress on what is now my oldest whip. So let's get into it. All right, first FFO is Chronicles of Oline Marie by Summer House Stitchworks. This was a blessings stitch in January of 2025. I have no idea why it took me so long to FFO it. This frame is a like rustic bleached wood frame from Amazon that I got for $5 or $6, and I think it turned out great. I had tested out several other darker frames and they just swallowed the piece, and I think we don't have great lighting today, but I think you can see how pretty it is. So it is ready for the sampler wall that we'll be putting together this sampler September. Second FFO is my favorite stitch I've ever done to date, I think. This is Hands Across the Sea, Martha Walmsley. I stitched it on 40 count Lallybroch by Tabbycat linen, which is the called for linen, and all the DMCs. This frame is from an online Amazon store called Craig Frames. They're a small business, and I was looking for something that was a 12 by 13 frame, so I didn't have to get it custom framed. I think it turned out great. I did have a slight challenge with ending up with a little too much linen free space at the bottom and not quite enough at the top, but I tried to pin and lace it several times and it was not working. So this is as good as it's going to get. I love this stitch. It is going to have a central place on the sampler wall when we put it together. My kids really like it too, which surprises me because it's very feminine, very pink, and they're not typically into feminine stitches, but they like this one, and I'm so pleased with it. And I think the frame suits it very nicely without overpowering it. I think the frame allows the piece to really shine. So even though I didn't do a perfect job of framing, I am happy with the result. All right, the third FFO I just finished this morning. This is Sarah Rinder, also by Hats, Hands Across the Sea. It is stitched with DMCs on the called for 40 count, what is it? Vintage Maple Sugar, I think, by Lakeside. As you can see, I've not cut off the excess linen, but I have loosely pinned it. This one was really hard to get centered, and I just finally this morning decided, you know what, this is as good as it's going to get. This frame is a $12 frame from Home Goods. I think it looks great. It suits the piece very nicely, so couldn't be happier. I did try to take it to Michael's to get a piece of museum acrylic glass cut for it, because I do frame all my samplers behind glass, and they were not able to cut something that isn't with straight lines. Their machine doesn't do round, so I think, going to leave it without glass, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll be okay, but this piece is very sweet. Enjoyed it very much. I will say I have mixed feelings about hats. I had purchased many of their charts for the last several years, and I probably have 15 or 20 of them in my pattern stash. And earlier this year, I became aware of some things that I just personally don't agree with in terms of use of AI and how the owner, Nicola Parkman, responds when people ask questions. If you want more information about that, Rebecca, Beck Stitches Everything, made a video, I think maybe 3 videos ago, where she talked about that. So while I love these pieces, and while I'll show you some more hats and I'll be stitching more hats, I do feel a bit conflicted about it, but I paid good money for the charts, and those of you who buy hats charts know that they are not cheap. So I'm going to continue stitching them, but I think I'll be hard pressed to purchase anything else until or unless some of their business practices change. But that is just a personal opinion. Okay. And last finish, I am so pleased with this one. This is Mirabilia's Botanical Garden. It is stitched on 32 count Capri by Seraphim Fabrics. I hadn't seen anyone else stitch this piece on a teal color, and I wanted her to look tropical. This frame is like a $10 frame from Amazon. I've not yet closed up the back because there's a fair amount of fabric to cut off as well, but I don't know if you can see, she just really sparkles, and I think the frame is a good fit. And this is a real wood frame that is distressed. So those are my 4 FFOs. I have more things to FFOs, so next month you'll probably also see a handful of them. My goal for this year is to end 2026 with no more finished pieces that have not yet been FFO'd. All right, let's get into the 4 finishes. First, my oldest whip, Cittlewick Green by Karen Kluba of Rosewood Manor. This is the chart in front of you. This was my New Year, New Start in 2025, and I actually didn't have a New Year, New Start in 2026 because this one was not yet done, and I was feeling guilty about that. But I've been plugging away at it all year. I've had 2 stitchy dates with Sabrina from Sweet Lemonade Studio, I think is her name. I'll link her below. She also has an Etsy where she designs and sells charts. She has a Flosstube. There's something really lyrical about the way she speaks. So if you're looking for a soothing set of videos with someone who stitches with bright colors, Sabrina's one of my go-tos. So this is what Cittlewick Green looked like last time you saw it, at the end of last month. And here it is now. I am so proud of and happy with this piece. I think it really pops off of the fabric. This is not the called for fabric. I used 40 count Weeks Dye Works Mocha, and then I did use the called for Weeks threads. One change I made is that you will notice in the downstairs of both houses there are flower pots and also people, and I didn't like that. So I copied Amy from the Thread Gremlins and took I think it's called Jaybird, the blue color, and stitched it from darker to lighter the best I could in the windows to make it look like the sun was hitting the windows. I also left off the little smokestacks. Sorry, I'm pointing and that's rude. I don't have scissors with me. They're upstairs. Because this feels like a summer piece to me, and smoke in a fireplace just didn't make sense, at least not here in Colorado. And I did a really good job of not making any mistakes in this piece until I got to the very end. And then for some reason in this tree over to the right, it was like mistake after mistake after mistake. I ended up fudging quite a bit. That's okay. I'm very happy with how this piece turned out. I already purchased a frame for it. So next weekend, when I have my next FFOing weekend, I will be fully finishing it. And it will also go on our family's sampler wall. The next finish is Sarah Blackburn, 1832, also by Hats, from the red box from 2 years ago, January 2025. And I think that one was called All Things Bright and Beautiful. I had suggested to my kids that maybe they select one of my smaller charts and they pick the colors for it, and I would stitch it in their own color conversion. This is one that I had in stash that they chose. And for it, I selected a piece of 36 count. This is an offcut of Witchelt linen that I had gotten in a grab bag off of eBay a long time ago. And so the kids went into the threads that they had purchased for me for Christmas. These are by the company, I think you pronounce it Tyche, Tyche. They bought me a present for Christmas this past year. These are the threads they selected. And then when we would drive in the car, we took a road trip in, is it May or June? I think in May, at the end of May. And then we took another one this month in July, and they were just handing me the colors. So I would say, okay, I'm working on this flower in the middle, pick some colors for the flower petals, pick some colors for the leaves, the stem, and this is what they chose, down to instructing me when to leave open space in the baskets or switch up instead of crisscross checkerboard stitches. They wanted lines, so they selected how this would go. I did think on our last road trip that I had made a mistake because there's so much more room on this side in between these two flowers than on this side, but that's how it is charted, so that's how it's going to be. The kids selected all of the colors in general. You can see them here. And then they told me what to stitch each thing. And then once I had finished half, they started trying to get real wild on the other side. And I said to them, no, we're going to make it symmetrical in terms of color. They're very pleased with their work. I'm very pleased that they contributed to something that will go on our family's sampler wall. It's been my dream to have a sampler wall since I started stitching in 2020. And when we bought this house at the end of 2024, I knew that we had a big wall in our hallway where the dream could be actualized. So I'm really excited that something they did will be on the wall, and they are looking forward to selecting the next chart. I did tell them it has to be a smaller chart and that they can't go as wild with the colors because this is definitely a look. The last thing I'll say is, even though this is 30 6 count. The weave is pretty loose. So when I had initially started stitching it 1/1, none of us liked how it looked. So I ended up stitching it 2/2. It's fine. I don't particularly like 2/2 on 36 count, but the kids really like how blocky and chunky the stitches look. So they're happy about that. All right, my youngest son's pride and joy. This is Marie Barber's Old World Floral. This chart was in the 2012 March-April Just Cross Stitch magazine, and my youngest dubbed it Capt Jack. A bunch of us have been stitching together on it. So Astrid Palmetto Stitcher, Debbie Lake Debbie, Zebbins on Instagram, Contented Needleworker Kim, Brianne, Mimosa Monday Stitching. I feel like I'm forgetting people, ladies. I'm so sorry if I've forgotten you. And it seems like people are still interested in starting and or looking for the magazine. So it's not too late. You can also, in addition to finding the magazine on eBay, you can find the chart in the Just Cross Stitch 2010 to 2015 DVD. Those DVDs are not particularly inexpensive, but you get a bunch of magazines in there if that's what you decide to go with. But I do see the hard copy magazine itself going on sale on eBay every 2 or 3 months. So people are still selling them. I stitched mine 1/2 using all the called for DMCs on a 36 count Seraphim silver lining. I am so thrilled with the result. I do think it is coming across true to color on camera. It is a beautiful stitch. I left one thing off, which is that over here in the right corner, there is just one lone branch that's meant to go over here. I think it's meant to create balance since this side is stitch heavy, but I just decided I didn't want a brown branch by itself, so I left it off. I had the best time stitching this. My youngest had the best time pestering me and managing my stitching around it. So I fulfilled my end of the bargain, but he did not fulfill his end, which was to find a frame by the time I finished it. So we will be going over the mountains to the Front Range, to the Denver area in August. And I'm hoping while we're there, I can hit up some antique stores and maybe even the antique mall to find a nice either round or oval frame. My son wanted a frame that looked like distressed wood, kind of like an old ship's wheel, but we haven't been able to find something like that. This will have a central place on our family sampler wall, and I expect that my son will be asking me to stitch more birds in the years to come. He has gone through all my patterns and picked several bird charts, and he just hasn't decided which one I should stitch yet. He also found, and then my partner purchased 2 antique samplers. One has a parrot on it, and the other, I think it's a turkey. I'm not quite sure. That one's a fire screen, and it has some wear and damage to it. So I think in 2027, I may even be reproducing a bird chart, although I don't think I'll do as beautiful a job as Marie Barber did here. I love this piece. So I hope more of you stitch Capt Jack, and please tag me if you do. My son loves to see people's progress and gets really excited, and then will say, "Mom, message and tell whoever posted a progress photo that," and then he'll say something that he finds particularly interesting about it. So loved working on this. A little sad it's over, but ready to find a frame for it. And ladies, I have loved stitching on Jack with you all, and I can't wait to watch more of you finish him. And the fourth and last finish is my personal favorite of the month. This is Sarah Tweddle, 1857. This is one of my own antique reproductions. The antique is currently being conserved with a friend who actually has some training in conservation. And then as soon as I get it back from her, I will frame the antique. This project is so beautiful to me. It has a wide variety of motifs. I do think this might be a morning sampler. So I did not stitch some of the religious symbols, but I believe, and if you go back to my last video, you'll see the original motifs. There is a cross in the original motif here. There's a cross in this Bible. I believe this is a reticule and ribbon drawstring that's holding it open. I'll insert some photos of reticule purses from the 1850s. Even though I stitched a swan here at the top of this grave marker, it has a cross on it in the original design. The chalice and pitcher are religious symbols. So I think whoever this Sarah Tweddle was, she was stitching something in memory of someone. Now, when I release the reproduction, which that probably will happen near the end of August, the chart is going to include all of the original religious motifs. And then I'll have a couple of revisions the way that I stitched it, so that if you didn't want religious motifs on yours, you could stitch without. And I think the sampler is so pretty. You could stitch the whole thing as is. You could pick one or two motifs and just do smalls or little ornaments. I love it. And it's a very fast stitch. I think between last month and this month, I spent maybe 2 weeks of evening stitching, like 2 to 3 hours in the evening, and that's it. I have been researching Sarah. I've narrowed down the list of possible Sarahs to about a handful, but I'm having trouble narrowing further than that. So next time I show her, when she's framed and I have the antique back and I'm releasing her on Etsy, I'll have more information about who the possible Sarahs were. It's really hard when you don't have the name of a school or a girl's age along with the year, because especially with some of these more common names, and if you don't have more information about where the sampler came from the seller, and I purchased this one at an auction, then you're really just guessing, and I don't want to do that. But I will have a bit more information when I show her next month. And here's where the giveaway comes in. So if you are interested in Sarah, please make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and leave a comment down below that uses the word motif, M-O-T-I-F, and tell me which of these motifs are your favorite. Is it the, I want to say cowboy, but the person riding the horse, that's the favorite of both of my sons? Is it this house? That's my favorite. Is it this little bird? Is it the book in the reticule? Use the word motif and say which is your favorite. Please do not use the words giveaway, prize, win, anything like that. That would raise the alarm for trolls to come pester the Flosstube community. And what I'll do is in my next video, I'll announce who the winner is, and what you will win is a PDF chart of Sarah emailed to you. Here you can see my ratty threads for the colors I selected. The chart will not have a DMC conversion because I selected threads to match the back of the original antique. The back also had damage to it, and so the threads I selected were variegated to match the back perfectly. And because some of these colors have so much variegation, it would be impossible to find a DMC color that would span the range of the variegation. I think I will include some DMC recommendations for like the lightest and the darkest tones of each of the Gentle Art and Classic Color Works and I have 1 Weeks threads, but I think you'd be hard pressed to replicate what mine looks like with DMC, although I'm certain it would look beautiful with DMC as well. So those are all of my finishes. I just have a couple more things to show you with my current whip, a new start, and a planned new start. Smith Sampler by the Scarlett House. This piece is now my oldest whip. I started it in July of 2025, so it's more than a year old. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. I had finished the top 2 bands and the entire border. And this is what it looks like now. Please excuse the wrinkles and the hanging threads. So I stitched this rosebush motif, which I think is my favorite motif of the entire sampler, and this little heart, and started working on the bird, and then just ran out of time this month. I'm so enjoying this stitch. There's something very soothing about the geometric nature of it. And I also figured out, I think, which word is going to go in the berry basket. I think I like what it means. I just have to do a little more research. But we're getting pretty close. I feel like I'm halfway done, maybe more than halfway done. And if you notice, Rose, there's a house here. Why did you stitch this border all the way through? That was a mistake from last month where I wasn't paying attention and just went to town on these 2 inner borders. I will be taking it out once I figure out where the house starts. Shame, but that's okay. Really enjoying this project. It is stitched on, what is it stitched on? 40 count baked clay by Fox and Rabbit. Fox and Rabbit linens have a very different feel to some of the other linens I've been working with recently. They're much more firm, and the weave is much tighter. So that's been interesting to have that combination with this geometric stitch. I think the stitches look really kind of tight and neat. So I'm enjoying that a lot. And I can't wait to show it to you next month when hopefully band number 3 will be done and the berry basket in band 2 is done. Right. A very pathetic new start. This is Cross Stitch Antiques, Julia Rachel de la Mare, 1849. I first saw this chart on Kim Contented Needleworkers Flosstube in the summer, I think. Wait, was it her Flosstube or her Instagram? I don't know. All I remember is that I saw it somewhere, and it was because of Kim. And this was originally in a club subscription service through Country Sampler in Spring Green, Wisconsin. And then in the fall of 2024, they released it to the general public. I did purchase it then with the called for threads, which are here. And I have been watching people stitch on it, and I've been so wanting to start it, and it's just been sitting in stash. What my problem is, I don't know. So last night I had the most pathetic start here. The linen I'm using is a 40 count. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I will list it in the description box below. It's by Manny Di Donna, and I really like how her linen feels. It's pretty mottled. I hope you can see that come across. But I wanted it on 40 count instead of what Country Sampler sent me, which was a Lakeside in 36, because a 40 count will fit in a 12 by 12 frame. And your girl is on a budget, and I'm trying to buy my frames from Amazon and big box stores in the standard sizes as much as I can to keep my framing costs down. So I chose a linen that was not as yellow or green as what's on the cover photo. And my plan will be to stitch just the inner border. It consists of 3 different green colors, and I will be using those. They are Classic Colorworks English Ivy, Classic Colorworks Nature Trail, and Gentle Art Avocado. And I did find an avocado in stash. Parts of it are pretty neon, but other parts are not. So I'm going to do that part of the border all the way around. And then I'm going to, I think, maybe switch out some of the browns for more pinks so that it is a little bit more vibrant. We will see how that goes. I am also thinking about switching out her name and information with a quote that I've had in mind as I have been thinking about starting this piece. So if anyone is currently working on Julia Rachel, if anyone wants to start her, clearly my start is not substantive yet. Please let me know and we can spend a bit of time in August working on her together. And then the last thing I have to show you is a planned start. This is Albertine. I don't know if it's Bourgogne. I don't speak French. Bourgogne, 1907 by Reflet de Soie. This was supposed to be my birthday start on May 1st. I turned 40. I didn't have any linen that I liked. I was waiting for a big linen shipment to come in from actually a couple different places, so I could select a linen that was not so warm toned. And then I was surprised when I saw that Beck Stitches Everything and Megan Seattle Stitcher were then starting this piece in June for Rebecca's birthday. Great minds think alike. So I'm finally, my linen should be here on Tuesday, and I'm going to select some, and then Rebecca and Megan count me in, although I think Rebecca's probably done by now. And I can't wait to stitch this project. There are so many fun motifs, and that border is gorgeous. There is one orange color in the roses in the border that looks very neon. I probably will switch that one out, but otherwise I'm going to keep everything the same with the called for DMCs. So that is all I have to show you today. Once again, if you are interested in my reproduction and getting a PDF of that for Sarah Tweddle, make sure you're subscribed and then leave a comment in the comment section below using the word motif, MOTIF, telling me which of Sarah's motifs you like the best. I hope you all have a wonderful end to your July and an excellent start to your August, and that you're healthy and safe, and that your stitching brings you peace and calm and a tremendous amount of enjoyment. Take care, everyone.